See this.
So we are live, folks.
I forgot about that intro.
Yeah, it's been a long time since I'm waiting for my phone to do what it usually does. It's been a long time since I used the intro, but I said I might as well use the intro. Show a little class.
Yeah.
Now I'm trying to look on YouTube Live to see if I popped it up. Okay, so there goes my phone. And I did not pop up on YouTube Live. I thought I would. It shows you what I know. Oh, well, just thought I'd give it a shot. So I hope everybody is doing well tonight. Let me get back to the comments. First of all, let me recognize who is here. Now, things are back to normal. The world is back on kilter. Nigel was in first. Jacob was right behind him. He was second. Eleanor was third. Brian was fourth. And then Renz came in. And now Don is in here too. Okay.
Welcome, guys.
Welcome, Don. And I may be selling a phone to Don this weekend. We'll see. Oh, and you'll be interested. I may sell him my GX8 because I figure as long as I have the Velvet, I don't need both. So.
If you have the Velvet and the Duo, yeah.
Yeah. And of course, I'm excited because a week from today is supposed to be S21 Ultra Day, I hope. I keep seeing some reviews of the Ultra, and the camera sent it to me.
Huh? You'll love the. I'm telling Don, he'll like the LG G8X with the dual.
It is pretty awesome, unless of course you have the Surface Duo. I saw that look.
Until you have to take photo with the Surface Duo.
The tough part of the Surface Duo was paying for it up front. That's the rough part. Okay, you see Brian's comment.
Did you ever get that discount?
Wait,
Did you ever get that discount app?
No, the discount came like a month and a half after I bought the phone. Ladies and gentlemen, let's get ready to rumble. I did that pretty good, I thought. Look at Brian said.
Hardly.
Guys my age don't flex. We try to make a muscle and you watch the flab hang down from there. That's all that happens.
For him to flex, he would need all the hands to hold all his phones. George has a lot of phones, but he only has two hands. So until that changes,
it's like 23, 24, something like that. I have a hard time.
Two hands.
Do you remember when we were in Vegas and the what was the phone that I was showing off on to Eleanor while we were live? The Huawei Mate 9. Remember the Mate 9 was the big deal that year? I still have that sitting there.
10. It was the 10.
Oh, okay. So it was the year before that I had the Mate 9 there. Okay. And Brian's asking, do I still have the iPhone 11? Yes, it's over there right now. One of my 3 daily drivers is the iPhone 12 Pro, but yes, I still have the iPhone.
You have the 11 Pro?
No, I just have the regular 11.
And the 12 Pro. That's weird.
Yeah. I'll be doing some comparisons. I'm just way behind on camera comparisons, but I'll catch up at some point. I have a pair of cheap earbuds that I got a month and a half ago. I haven't even unboxed them yet, so I'm a little behind on things.
Yeah, so am I. I'm actually behind on all the stuff.
I was going to say that's your influence because you're usually the one who's behind. I blame you. Okay, so Renz had a Mate 9. Did you love it? Because I loved my Mate 9, when I was using it a lot when it came out the first year or so. Did you love it, Renz? Let me know. I remember when in Vegas, I guess it was the year before I met you, Ted, I was showing it on a live. I don't know if I was doing. I think I was doing a Twitter live, and Eleanor just loved it. I remember that. Okay, I'm going to pull up the first story, and I'm going to. So, I don't think Mike or Will show up tonight, but if they do, of course, we'll be very happy about that. So, thank God Ted is here. He gives life to the show.
You didn't, do you share it on StreamYard? You know, that's where Will usually gets the right.
Did I what? What'd you say, Ted?
Telegram. Did you share the link on Telegram?
I never shared the link on. I just send it.
That's where.
I just said, but Will and Mike know it's going to come. Know it's going to come in email. Yeah, Brian's saying back in the good old days with Google service on Huawei. That's true. What are you, sky watching?
No.
All right.
The gremlin is trying to take my charger I'm using to charge my iPad.
All right, I'm going to share screen. We're going to go with our first story. And I've got this one. It's long. I picked this because I thought it said a lot, and I thought it was the most important story that I found for this week. So,
funny enough, I tweeted that story on. I tweeted that story.
Okay, 3 megabytes upload, still fast enough for U.S. homes, Ajit Pai says in final report. This is on Ars Technica. Of course, the link is in the description, folks. Pai's last report keeps 6-year-old broadband standard and gives ISPs high marks. Oh, I'm going to try from now on doing more of what Ted likes to do. Try jumping around a little bit. I'm not going to read everything, but I'm going to try to
Could you repeat that? Could you repeat that blurb, please? That was under the title, just so we can have it
okay.
home.
Go back up. Okay. Pai's last report keeps 6-year-old broadband standard and gives ISPs high marks. This whole thing is so freaking hypocritical. It's unbelievable. Just be warned, be forewarned.
That's right.
Okay. He's got the nerve
that was set in 2015.
He's got the nerve to try to take bows for this crap. But in any case, in one of his last acts as Federal Communications Commission Chairman, Ajit Pai decided to stick with FCC's 6-year-old broadband standard of 25 megabits download and 3 megabits upload speeds. And where do we get into this? The decision was announced yesterday in the FCC's annual broadband deployment report, released one day before Pai's departure from the FCC. As in all previous years of Pai's chairmanship, the report concludes that the telecom industry is doing enough to extend broadband access to all Americans, despite FCC Democrats saying the facts don't support that conclusion. This is one time I agree 100% with the Democrats. Pai's report said we find the current speed benchmark of 25 down, 3 up remains an appropriate measure by which to assess whether a fixed service is providing advanced telecommunications capability, no matter that we're way behind the entire rest of the world. Don't remind me, I'm aggravated. We conclude that fixed services with speeds of 25.3 continue to meet the statutory definition of advanced telecommunications capability. Advanced telecommunications, this to me is Stone Age capability, but okay. That is, such services enable users to originate and receive high quality voice, data, graphics, and video telecommunications. Under U.S. law, the FCC is required to determine annually whether advanced telecommunications capability is being deployed. Now, here's the key phrase, to all Americans in a reasonable and timely fashion, and to take immediate action to accelerate deployment and promote competition if current deployment is not reasonable and timely. Maintaining a 25.3 megabit standard for the home internet services, which hasn't changed since January 2015, makes it easier for Pai to give the telecom industry and FCC a passing grade on the annual report. Pai's annual reports also evaluated deployment of mobile internet at different speeds, but he didn't adopt a single speed benchmark for determining whether a mobile service is advanced. FCC, she's going to be in the next story. FCC Democrat Jessica Rosenwasser, who could be the commissioner's next chair, has repeatedly argued that the FCC should adopt a higher speed benchmark for home internet service. With so many of our nation's providers rolling out gigabit service, it's time for the FCC to adjust its baseline upward too, she said last year, calling for 100 megabits download standard and an upload standard that's higher than 3 megabits. I agree. At present, our standard is 3 megabits per second, but this asymmetrical approach is dated. We need to recognize that with extraordinary changes in data processing and cloud storage, upload speed should be rethought. Now, this is where it really gets interesting. The report released yesterday concluded that advanced telecommunications capability is being deployed on a reasonable and timely basis, and that the rural-urban divide is rapidly closing. The gap between the percentage of urban Americans and the percentage of rural Americans with access to 25.3 megabits fixed broadband has nearly halved, falling from 30 points at the end of 2016 to 16 points at the end of 2019. That is total phony, as you'll see as we go on. In a press release, Pai played up his alleged role in expanding broadband access, saying, "From my first day as chairman, the FCC's top priority has been closing the digital divide. In addition to expansion of home internet services," he pointed to FCC data showing that at the end of 2019, mobile providers offered 5G to approximately 60% of Americans, a figure that is substantially higher today. Now, I agree with that, but what does it say? Providers offered 5G service to 60% of Americans. That doesn't mean that everybody's getting it. It just means it's offered, but they're playing with words here. He's playing with words here.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Let me skip around a little bit. FCC Democrats objected to Pai finalizing the broadband deployment report yesterday instead of letting the task pass to the Biden administration, and I agree, that's what should have been done. And that's what he wanted when he came in, by the way. Over the last 2 years, I have decried the unwarranted victory laps these reports seem to spawn, FCC Commissioner Jeffrey Stark said. Now, as tens of millions of Americans find themselves unable to access online schoolwork, oh, and by the way, the Democrats are way overdoing that online schoolwork thing, but they're right. And healthcare during the pandemic, patting ourselves on the back is particularly unseemly. I agree. Despite Pai's rosy conclusions and the inaccuracy of FCC data, which tends to undercount Americans without broadband access, the report has evidence to back up Stark's concerns about the continuing digital divide. As end of year 2019, only 4.4% of Americans lived in areas without access to 25.3 home internet service. But the data for rural and tribal areas paints a much uglier picture. At 25.3 megabits home internet speed, there's no coverage for 17.3% of rural areas and no coverage for 20.9% of tribal areas. Overall, there are about 65 million people in the rural areas in FCC data and about 4 million people in tribal areas. Nearly 99% of urban areas have 25.3, and 95% of urban areas had access to get this 250 up, 25 down. But only 0.8% of rural areas and 63.7% of tribal areas had access to 100 up and 10 down. So the cities, 250 up, 25 down. But in the bad areas, almost 2/3 people had even 100 up and 10 down, while 56.6% of rural areas and 49.6% of tribal areas had access to 100 up, 10 down. And there's the chart if you guys want to look at it, if you're checking the links. But it's really bad. This gets worse. Evidence contradicting Pai is all around us. Rosenwasser Rosenworcel said that Pai's report obscures the hard truth of the digital divide is very real and very big, and that it confounds logic that today the FCC decides to release a report that says that broadband is being deployed to all Americans in a reasonable and timely fashion. I'm going to skip part of it because there's some hard numbers to show that his report is totally phony. By the way, when Biden defeated Trump in the election, congressional Democrats called on Pai to follow the past practice of stopping work on all partisan controversial items during the transition period. Pai never committed to do so, despite taking the opposite stance 4 years earlier when then Chairman Tom Wheeler complied with an equivalent request from congressional Republicans. So when he took office, the Democrats stopped work and let him take over, but he wouldn't let them do that. So I think that says a lot to me. Stark argued yesterday that yesterday's report was too controversial to be approved when the FCC is about to change hands from Republicans to Democrats. I am compelled to note that this report should not have been released at all. I agree 100%. I'm not going to read all of that. Okay. Pai has continually claimed that his deregulatory agenda boosted broadband deployment, despite evidence to the contrary found in statements ISPs made to investors and recent cuts in big ISPs network spending. Pai has touted data showing broadband progress even after FCC staff warned it was based on incorrect findings by an IFC. Even Pai's most direct efforts to close the digital divide have been controversial. Pai replaced the FCC's Connect American Fund with a similar Rural Digital Opportunity Fund and recently awarded $9.2 billion worth of funding that will be distributed over 10 years. But instead of waiting for more accurate broadband data to better target the funding to areas that need it most, Pai went ahead with the funding distribution weeks before his departure from the FCC. The subsidies are supposed to go to high-cost areas where the ISPs would not have a good business case for deployment without government funding. But consumer advocacy group Free Press has been examining the funding awards in a series of reports, saying in one report that Pai's program is subsidizing broadband for the rich. That may be true, I'm not sure. Some funding
is 100% true.
Oh, it could be. Some funding went to census blocks located inside of the service footprints of Comcast and other ISPs. Now, check this out. Places with little demand for broadband, either because no one lives there or even works there, okay? Or because, for the most part, they have no residential properties and the few businesses there may not need advanced services. So they're putting in this report that they're spreading the stuff around, and they're spreading it in places where nobody lives and nobody works. Okay, I mean, come on. A bipartisan group of the 157 members of Congress yesterday sent a letter urging Pai and other FCC commissioners to make sure the funds aren't spent improperly. Anyway, that's as much as I'm going to read. But I thought the entire thing was totally hypocritical. I don't think he had any reasonable right to release a report saying everything is hunky-dory with the American broadband system, because it's terrible. Obviously, it's terrible for anybody in rural and tribal areas. So I just thought the whole thing was ridiculous. As you can see, it did work me up a little bit. And Ted has disappeared. All right, we all know Ted has a really nice looking brown wall. Okay. Let me see who's saying anything.
This is usually around the time when, you know, CEOs have to put out a nice statement to justify the bonuses they get from their companies. Obviously, the FCC doesn't give out bonuses, but, you know, I guess Chairman Pai has like that habit to say, you know, hey, put out that statement to justify their bonus or whatever.
But I can understand
out of habit, even though there's no bonus.
Yeah, I could understand if it was a company, a for-profit company trying to make money. They're going to scam what they can to make money. But he's not making money from this. He's just rah-rahing himself when he should be doing the opposite, because this is a pathetic job that he's done here. Do you agree?
Yeah, I mean, these telecommunication companies, they're very comfortable to get government out of their way, but they're also just as comfortable to let governments pay for their infrastructure while they keep all the profits.
I agree. Here's Renz's comment. I was living in a stone age when 3G speeds are enough to post something on Facebook before and had to wait 3 to 5 minutes before posting one. That's bad.
That is bad. 3G, well, I had 3G plus or HSPA plus, so I only had to wait like 30 seconds.
I did too. Yeah. He said here in our country it's not utilized before. Oh, that's in response to your comment. Okay. Anyway, yeah. The whole article was very aggravating to me. I would assume to any of us watching this, and I mean, what a phony! I just couldn't believe it. All right, next one. You're going to read the next one. The next one's pretty short. Is that okay with you?
Yeah, I'll do the next one.
All right, I'm going to share
I'll do the next one.
Now. Okay, and it's all yours. This is on Android Central.
Oh, got it. Yeah. Biden names new FCC acting chair in steps towards a better internet access. Jessica Rosenworcel is the second woman to be appointed acting chair of the FCC.
Yep. And jump around, wait, just let me know when.
All right. Following the resignation of former FCC Chairman Ajit Pai, President Joe Biden wasted no time appointing his replacement. Just one day after the presidential inauguration, Jessica Rosenworcel is now the acting chair of the FCC, making her the second woman to hold this spot. Prior to this, she sat as the senior Democratic commissioner after being appointed to the FCC back in 2012 under the Obama administration. Rosenworcel is honored to be designated as acting chairwoman of the Federal Communication Commission by President Biden. She thanks the president for the opportunity to lead an agency with such a vital mission and talented staff. It is a privilege to serve the American people and work for their behalf to expand the reach of communications opportunities in the digital age. Rosenworcel.
I think it's Rosenworcel. Yes.
Hey, Google. Who's the new acting FCC chairwoman?
Let's get an answer.
He doesn't have any information.
Let me try it here.
Google does not have any information.
Who's the new acting chairwoman of the FCC?
Sorry, I don't know how to help with that.
She doesn't know how to help with that. Okay. All right, go ahead.
ISPs must be mad. She fought for students to have high-speed internet access to push them out of the homework gap, which affects roughly 40% of families whose children have difficulty completing homework assignments without it. This is especially important during the current global pandemic, which has forced many schools to function solely through social distancing learning. This is in stark contrast to former FCC Ajit Pai, who actively campaigned against net neutrality during his tenure. And to add insult to injury, he recently released his final broadband deployment report, which we just read, and declared that the FCC's 6-year-old standard of 25 megabits and 3 megabits upload speed should hold. He believes it remains an appropriate measure by which to assess whether a fixed service is providing advanced telecommunications capability. Never mind the fact that the FCC aren't the ones that actually test that standard. He leaves it to the companies themselves.
Yep.
Jesus Christ. Rosenworcel is a step in the right direction towards pushing President Joe Biden agenda as it pertains to U.S. telecommunications. While the best wireless carriers are pushing their 5G networks, there are still plenty of rural areas in the country that have slow broadband connections or not at all, and thus are often left with the only choice in their area that can be cost way more than it's worth. Suddenlink.
Is that your phone?
Somebody's calling.
No.
Yeah, actually, I think it might be my girlfriend's. Oh, it's her father. Oh, she's gonna have to miss it. Keep daddy waiting. According to Bloomberg, the Federal Communications Commission will dodge the risk of major delays in democratic priorities like restoring regulation of high-speed internet service. It's worth noting that even the appointment of Rosen Worcel as acting chair, Biden still has to fill the remaining open spot if he wants to get anything done. Whoever he chooses as the final Democratic pick could either be appointed official SEC chair or as a final commissioner. But either way, it would allow Democrats to move forward with undoing some of the policies from the last 4 years and introducing new ones that could further address America's troubled communications industry.
Yeah. Now, I agree with both of the last two articles because I don't think Pai was a good advocate for internet in this country at all, and I think his final report proves it. I mean, 25 up, 3 down in 2020, and you're saying that's good, adequate standard? That's amazing to me.
Oh, 25 down, 3 up.
Yeah, 25 down, 3 up, sorry. Anyway, so now I can stop being aggravated. So let me look at the comments. Okay, nobody else said anything else. I just thought that was a very important thing, and I would hope people who either don't have access or have really slow access like that would soon get some kind of respite from it. So anyway, I just thought that was an important story.
Somehow.
Well, somehow being
let's go to that story. Something up.
Which one?
It's in the ad for Android Central. MST was great, but its death is a good thing for mobile payments. You know what MST is, right? Good thing that
Yes.
Samsung.
Yeah, but Samsung killed it. And I remember Will's been complaining about that since they did it, which they did it a while ago. But I heard something on somebody's broadcast the other day that, I think they were saying most of Europe has no use for it and didn't think it was worth keeping anyway. And they think that's why Samsung killed it. So
why doesn't Europe need it?
I guess I'm not sure, but I'm thinking because generally in anything using technology like broadband, like we just discussed, they're usually ahead of us, right?
For wireless payments, for NFC stuff, yeah, they usually are.
Yeah, so that's my guess would be the reason. But in any case, it's dead and it's not going to be on the new Samsung. So I never did use it anyway.
But why don't they just get rid of it for the European markets, which has a different chip altogether?
Well, because then you've got to make. Oh, that's right. It is a different chip, isn't it? I guess you'd have to split resources even more than they're already doing, wouldn't you think? When they're building it, I mean.
But you are splitting resources.
Yeah, but I can tell you, programming from the business world, that the more you split resources, the more it's going to cost you because you always got to bring in more people to get it done. Especially when it has anything to do with programming something, which this does,
No, look at what Gary is saying.
I'm not seeing any new comment. Oh, it didn't show up here yet. That's why I'm seeing it on my phone. No MST plus no cash back offer is killing Samsung Pay. Well, welcome, Gary. Okay, now I see. There's this comment.
Samsung Pay was giving cash back? Holy shit. LG Pay doesn't give anything, and they use that as well.
I haven't looked at, I carry my my Samsung S20 a lot, and I have been seeing pop-ups that I could get paid. I just never click on them, but so they must still be offering some kind of cashback stuff. Anyway, Gary says Google Pay is better. I'm guessing he's right, but I never used the Samsung Pay, so I can't really say for sure.
Yeah, I've heard of the new.
The expert we need on this
like LG Pay still uses the MST.
Okay, LG Pay still
Will?
does. Okay. Yeah, we need Will on this. He's the expert on this stuff. Anyway, I'm going to share the next story. And this is going to be about OnePlus. Okay, this is also on Android Central. And I'm going to take this one. I just thought this was interesting. OnePlus merging R&D with Oppo is the only way it can scale and win. It makes perfect sense for OnePlus to merge its R&D resources with Oppo. The two entities already share manufacturing facilities, which I didn't know until I read this article. OnePlus started out over 7 years ago, and in that time has launched some of the best Android phones we've seen. Normally, it isn't feasible for a new entrant to gain momentum in the smartphone industry without significant capital. And even then, there's no guarantee things will work out. Just look at Nextbit and Essential. That's true. In OnePlus's case, the company took to Oppo from the very beginning for its manufacturing needs. While OnePlus dominates the mind share, its annual sales units are still around. Now, get these numbers. The 5 million figure. Oppo, meanwhile, has sold over 100 million phones in 2020, or 20 times more than OnePlus. Yeah, that's a lot more. It's Oppo's scale that has allowed OnePlus to take on Xiaomi and Samsung in the mid-range segment. To this day, all OnePlus phones are manufactured at Oppo's facilities. I had no idea that that was true. And without that backing, OnePlus as an entity would not exist. Both OnePlus and Oppo are part of BBK Electronics, which also counts Vivo and Realme as its companies. Although OnePlus always leveraged Oppo's manufacturing facilities, it differentiated its products with unique designs and great software in the form of Oxygen OS. Both companies
Brand
had
engineering.
Where are you?
No, it's what Mike was saying last week. Brand engineering.
Oh, that's right. That's exactly what he said. You're absolutely right. Both companies had distinct R&D facilities that worked on everything from camera tuning, feature localization, and hardware efforts. But over the last 12 months, OnePlus has become more enmeshed with Oppo, with co-founder Pete Lau heading. Now, get this, I didn't know about this. Heading into a new role overseeing brand synergy, or like you just said, for OPlus, a holding company that is now a majority shareholder of Oppo, OnePlus, and Realme. I noticed Vivo is not part of that, which I found interesting. The change comes with a new direction for OnePlus, as we've seen with the introduction of the Nord N10 and N100. And now OnePlus has announced that it's pooling its R&D resources with Oppo. To better maximize resources and further position OnePlus for growth, we are in the process of further integrating some R&D capabilities with OPlus, our long-term investor. OnePlus will continue, blah, blah, blah. Okay. Why is OnePlus making the change? There are a few possible reasons. The company set up a camera testing facility in Taiwan a few years ago, but it wasn't able to make up a lot of ground against Samsung and Google in this area. Oppo, however, has focused on camera innovation from the beginning, and its phones constantly deliver better photos than their OnePlus counterparts. Lau committed to fix the camera issues on OnePlus this year. Yes, he did. And the easiest way to do that would be to leverage Oppo's know-how. Sharing R&D resources allows OnePlus to make more meaningful strides in this area. And that's why I found it funny. I'm going back up. Where did it say? It said there was a couple of reasons why it might be true that they do it. It seems to me the only reason they're doing this is because of the camera. Because what's always the big knock on the OnePlus? It's always the camera, you know. So it makes perfect sense.
The camera. Yep.
Yeah. Then there's the fact that out of all BBK companies, only OnePlus has an official presence in North America. That's true. While Oppo has turned its attention to the UK and other Western markets in the last 3 years. OnePlus has always been a global player. As a result, it is now using its leverage to make its foray into the budget segment with the Nord N10 5G and N100. Now get this. The Nord N10 and N100 don't resemble OnePlus phones because they're essentially rebranded Oppo devices. The N100 is essentially an Oppo A53 with a OnePlus label, and the N10 5G uses a lot of the same parts, but has a 5G-enabled Snapdragon 690 chipset. Oppo is effectively acting as a turnkey provider for OnePlus here, and it isn't just for phones. That's interesting. The OnePlus Band, the company's first wearable, is nothing but a rebrand of the Oppo Band. It even shares the exact same interface for the companion app. So they're just copying and passing it on to us because Oppo is not in the US. While OnePlus started as a company that catered to power users, it is targeting a more mainstream audience. It looks to scale. To do that successfully, it needs a portfolio of devices in the budget segment and a large R&D team for tuning cameras and adding new features. By pooling its resources with Oppo, it now has both of those things. So I just thought that was interesting, but it's obvious it's for the camera. What other reason would they have? The other, Oppo is way ahead of them in camera, so that makes sense. So
yeah.
See, I'm going back on Rems's comments.
I'm checking out this Google Pay thing that Gary said, and I mean they do give out substantial. Rewards, cashback.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, like cashback whenever you pay at stores, but nothing really too helpful. Like PetSmart, Adidas, H&M, Gap, Banana Republic.
Yeah, those are all places I don't go to. But when I do use my phone to pay, it's always Google Pay. Yeah. I'm checking out Ren's comments here.
Oh no, I'm looking at the new Google Pay. It's called GPay even.
Yeah, and that
they even have this
Google
thing where you can you just have to go to the. Yep.
Yeah, the GPay has been around.
You just have to go to the gas station.
Right.
I'm not going to use it. I'm deleting it.
Okay.
But nice user interface though.
Ren's Oppo, Vivo, OnePlus, Realme are part of one giant company, BBK, headquartered in China. Oppo's research and development is very superior than compared to Vivo and OnePlus. Yeah, I'm sure that's what it's all about. What else? Whatever feature Oppo tries in their new phone, Vivo copies. Also, Vivo copies too. And if the features are successful, they might come to one. Okay, so Vivo is the test one before it comes to OnePlus. Is to note that build quality of these phones are very high, but build quality is not. Yeah, and the build quality on OnePlus phones is great, I think. And let's see. Gary says, yes, it is very important. Don says, years back I called OnePlus just a rebranded Oppo. And I have seen other people write that too and say that. Don says other people hated him saying it. Well, if it's true, it's true. And we all know what Gary calls OnePlus. He's very consistent. Okay. Yeah, now for me, I still have my OnePlus 7 Pro. And I have yet to see a phone after that intrigued me at all. Yes, I know the OnePlus 8 Pro is supposed to be great, but for me, my favorite OnePlus phone is still the OnePlus 7 Pro. So that's just me. I'm kind of jaded about OnePlus now. I think they're directionless. So I guess we'll see.
Directionless.
Yeah.
Well, time will tell.
Yeah, I think call pay living made all the difference in the world. That's just my opinion. All right. Now we're going on to the one that everybody's been talking about. On to LG. All right, this is going to be you. All right, Ted?
Yes, it's only right.
Okay. All right, this is back on Android Central whenever you're ready.
All right, let's see. Oh, by the way, welcome, Munchie. They just came in.
Who just came in?
Munchie.
Oh, hey, Munchie. Glad to see you, brother.
And yep. Also, Brian is saying OnePlus is the new Moto. All right, so let's see. LG's failing smartphone business may already have a buyer. What you need to know: LG's may have found a suitor for its smartphone business, according to a new report. The company may be considering selling to the Vietnamese conglomerate Vingroup. If a deal is struck, it'll involve the company's U.S. business. When it comes to smartphones, there's Samsung, there's Apple, and there are others. Some like Xiaomi and Huawei dominate as if not mindshare. Others like Google and OnePlus, despite making some of the best Android phones, may lack in. Okay, we're taking the term best Android phones very lightly, especially when we're
Yes,
talking
we
about
are.
Google.
I agree.
May lack in. Once again, a reporter's just writing anything. May lack in sales, but make up for it in column inches. And then there's LG dominating neither in sales or mindshare, suffering loss year over year. The company may now be on the brink of selling its ailing smartphone business. When reports broke last week, LG denied reports that it was planning to sell off its smartphone division. This week has proven LG's denial to be untrue. And the further reports have added some color to the situation. LG already has suitors lined up for the purchase, including Vietnamese conglomerate Vingroup. Vingroup, for
Now,
those who do not
now,
know.
what I found interesting about that paragraph was this week has proven LG's denials to be untrue. Why can't you just say they lied and let that be it? I don't understand. You know. Go ahead.
Let's see. Now, Vingroup is a large conglomerate in Vietnam with a market capitalization of $16.5 billion as of end of 2020. It accounts for 14% of total market capitalization of Vietnamese listed companies. The company is engaged in diverse business areas, including hotels, tourism, real estate, distribution, construction, automobiles, and mobile phones, but its presence is still small in the global stage. Vingroup's takeover of LG smartphone business would provide the company with a foothold in the smartphone market, especially in the US, where LG controls just under 13% of the market. As it stands, Vingroup currently acts as an ODM for other brands through its VinSmart division, but it has yet to release any smartphones under its own brand. If the deal comes through, it will only concern the US arm of the business. LG is reportedly planning to sell off its business in portions as it does not foresee being able to sell it all to a single buyer. Look at Big House.
What does it say? I can no longer. LG isn't going. I kind of agree. Big House gotta kind of agree. Now, what I found interesting though, if this Vingroup does get this done, and it is for the U.S. market, can you imagine coming into a market that you've never been in at 13%? That is pretty good, you know. So I can see why they're interested, you know.
The collapse of LG smartphone business comes after years of phones marred with hardware issues. No, well, the issue wasn't hardware. LG's always had it's the software. The boot loops that got them on the master trouble.
Although I read in another article, I didn't realize they had like 23 quarters failed in a row. That's incredible.
The company has also, outside of Google's Nexus phone, failed to define a distinct identity for itself.
That's true.
LG inadvertently positioned itself as an off-brand Samsung, but when Samsung makes good phones at all prices, it just couldn't compete.
Yeah, and they're saying,
you know, story?
Yeah, that's the end of the story. But they're saying,
okay,
failed to define a distinct identity for himself. Well, yes, on the one hand, they kept getting kudos for doing something different. You know, there's the LG Ring, the latest something different, and then with the camera stuff they were doing with the LG 5. But that was the problem, distinct identity. They kept changing their identity, and they're still doing it. Don't you think?
Michael Allison. I think Michael Allison knows what he's talking about. LG's design language has always been distinct, never like been a copycat of like Samsung.
But they kept jumping from one thing to another. That's my point.
Yeah, I'm just thinking from the LG G4, they had the nice leather back.
Yeah, the
Then
LG
the
G5
G5, the
got a
mod
lot of
phone, then the
kudos.
LG G6, then they went.
Yeah, they kept
I mean, yeah,
jumping
they
from
did
one
keep
thing.
the same identity with the designers from the G6, G7, G8. They had the design one, same design
Okay.
language. Then they got rid of it and said, let's go develop it.
And I think the
So yeah,
wing
you're
is,
right.
yeah,
So
I
yeah, you
think the
did.
wing
So,
is a really cool thing. You know, if I wasn't buying other phones, I would have bought one. But it's just a total jump away from what they were doing before. You know.
yep, that's true.
Yeah.
And also, they got rollable phones coming out. So
Yeah, well, and now I saw an article. I didn't get to read it. I was working today, but that seems to be in question too. Because remember, that was a concept.
oh yeah,
So
but no,
we
I
may
heard
never see that thing. Although that would probably be a
I
phone
thought
I
that
would.
was actually supposed to come to market in 2021.
Well, that yeah, they were saying it was a concept phone that was supposed to come to market. That's what was said. But that was all before we all knew they were in the process of trying to sell off the business. You know.
This is Gary like, huh, the LG G5 was.
Oh, yeah. See, Brian saying they should troll the others and they could do all this stuff, you know, because everybody else is getting rid of all this stuff. Renz is saying the G6 was better looking compared to the S7, and the G6 has an ultra wide lens. Now, see, Gary thought the LG G5 was trash. I didn't have the LG G5, but I was kind of fascinated by it.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, because it was the only phone that had a removable battery. But even
Yeah,
if they got the
and
battery, it's a
his
hassle.
Big House's comment. Oh wait, there's Renz's comment on that. Yeah, see, I never had one in my hands, and Big House loved the next 3 and GX8. And if Don, if you're still here, I'm sure we're going to make a deal for that GX8. So, okay. So
Yeah, you got the last of its kind on the.
yeah, well, I figured, Don seems to need a phone. I bought the GX8 secondhand anyway, so I'll give him a good price. And since I have the Velvet, I don't need to have both, So. All right, now we're moving on. Okay, who read that? You or me?
I read that. You also know the thing about wrong with LG? Also,
What?
their marketing. Like right now, we don't know what the hell is coming from them this year. I just realized.
Yeah, they're right. Their marketing is non-existent. I think LG is a great appliance manufacturer. What, second in the world?
Like, yeah, great hardware, one thing software, but yeah, like I don't know whether are they still putting out the V70? Is the V70 going to be the last line? Are they just going to focus on the new Velvets going forward? Like,
Yeah, they're not telling us anything. I think the Velvet was sales-wise somewhat of a flop with them. Wouldn't you think so?
no. I think no, I heard more slash on the Velvet than I have on any other phone.
Okay. Now see, Big House is saying I would have liked to have the V62, but then when I got the GX8 and then I got the Velvet, I didn't need it. But a lot of people were pretty impressed with the V60.
Yeah, it was great. I just couldn't use it because they sell it unlocked.
Yeah, he said, Renz says he's still hunting for a GS8 here under 300. Renz, I forgot, where do you live? Please remind me. You're dealing with an old man, remember?
Philippines.
Oh, Philippines,
He
that's
lives
right.
in the Philippines.
Thank you. It's nice to have a young guy to remember for me. All right, next story. Let me share the screen. This one is on me. And I just thought this was interesting. This is on Tech News World. Search milestone gives DuckDuckGo something to quack about. Now, I would laugh at this story, but you'd probably all think I was quacking up. I had to get that in. You know that. All I can see you were impressed. Okay. If I can make you grab your stomach, my job is done. DuckDuckGo, the search engine that prioritizes privacy, reached a significant milestone last week, racking up more than 1 million searches in a single day. According to the search engine's website, it recorded 102,251,307 searches on January 11th, a historical high for the 12-year-old company. For the month, it's averaging more than 90 million searches a day, a 73% increase over the same period in 2020. That's pretty good, while the average was around 52 million searches per day. While still a paltry number compared to the more than 5 billion daily searches performed by market leader Google, the milestone is a major one for the search engine that doesn't store any of its users' personal information, doesn't archive their search histories, and doesn't track their search activity. To me, those three things alone are going to make this company successful. It's a significant milestone, especially since it surpassed Bing and Yahoo to get there, which to me says a lot. There's a solid sign of DuckDuckGo's vitality, but also reflects the waning influence of what were once dominant industry platforms. Well, I'd say Yahoo was once a dominant platform. I don't think Bing was ever a dominant platform in search. You think so?
Nope, you right. Yahoo was the standard in the
Yahoo was up there. Bing,
yeah, whatever happened to.
There hasn't really been a significant competitor to lower players like Bing and Yahoo in the search engine game for some time. So the fact that they passed them is pretty good. To cross 100 million line is promising for DuckDuckGo. While DuckDuckGo is in sixth place in the search engine market worldwide with less than 1% of the search pie, it is number 2 in the important mobile search market with a 2.25% share, followed by Yahoo with a 1.94% and Bing with a 1.13%, according to StatCounter. The overwhelming leader in the market was Google with a 94.48% share. What a difference. Mobile website views surpassed traditional PC views in 2016. The coming wave of next-gen 5G-enabled smartphones and other devices is likely to help mobile search grow significantly. I agree. Once 5G does start being spread around to a lot of people, it's going to grow real fast. People are living on their mobile devices a lot more than they used to. Having that kind of power in mobile is handy. Desktop segment is locked up. Okay, I'm going to go on. Miller noted that 60% of searches is now conducted on mobile devices. I don't expect that to slow anytime soon. Even in the pandemic, when you could argue that more folks were in a desktop environment, mobile search still surged. DuckDuckGo has tremendous opportunity here because of their multi-source search and user, and this is the key, opt-in controls that give users the feeling of accuracy with control. A number of factors are driving DuckDuckGo's growth, not the least of which its emphasis on privacy. DuckDuckGo has been growing steadily over time. Its increasing adoption by people concerned about privacy. It's the most well-known of the privacy-friendly search engines. I've never used it so far. You ever used it, Ted?
Nope.
I guess some of us are going to have to start using it at some point. Consumers and businesses have become.
I'm doing my part. I use Bing and Edge.
Do you really? Okay, I never
on my
do.
JetX.
Okay, I never do. I'm strictly Google all the way. Consumers and businesses are becoming increasingly aware of and tired of how their personal search data is being used for targeted online advertising. I think that's very true. At the same time, DuckDuckGo has crafted a solid solution that makes private searching simple and effective. DuckDuckGo emphasis on privacy doesn't mean it's forsaking the advertising business model. The difference between DuckDuckGo and others, though, is its use of opt-in advertising controls, which I think is very smart, especially in today's world. In the end of the day, they are transparent about being an ad-powered business. The key difference is they put the controls of advertising-based results into the hands of users. That makes sense. DuckDuckGo has embraced the notion that personalization and privacy can coexist in collecting less data that users define as relevant to what they want to receive. So people are enjoying the experience of control and are being rewarded with results they feel are accurate for him. And I think that's a very important point. If you are giving people a feeling of control, even if it's not as much as they think, if you give them that feeling, you're going to, I think, succeed in this world where people are so privacy focused. So I think it makes sense.
Yeah.
DuckDuckGo's growth is also being fired by its image as a player not under the umbrella of big tech. DuckDuckGo has been lumped into this band of anti-big tech free speech solutions with little privacy tucked in there, albeit without an accurate definition or understanding of privacy in the modern world. With headlines and breaking news pieces from politicized camps saying that big tech is out there to get the average citizen in the U.S., alternatives are being offered up as the cure. DuckDuckGo is part of that offering. The search engine recent growth was also fueled by seasonal factors and current events. Yes, because they say New Year's is always their highest there. I'm not going to read it all. Building market share will continue to be a challenging task for DuckDuckGo. Most people continue to use Google out of habit and because they're tied into many other Google services such as Gmail, Maps, News, YouTube, Android phone, and so forth. That's true. There's also a perception, which is partly justified, that Google is the best search engine available. I'd say that's more than partly justified. I think that's absolutely true. It's unlikely that DuckDuckGo will ever be a serious challenger to Google, but they may be able to build a substantial business and a sustainable business. Then that makes sense. You don't have to challenge Google to be making money. To do that, DuckDuckGo will need to grow and keep their customers happy. Now, this is interesting from this professor. In order to cut down on tracking, I switched from Chrome to Firefox and from Google to DuckDuckGo, explained Dan Kennedy, professor of journalism at Northeastern University in Boston. I wasn't concerned about privacy especially, but I was tired of looking up, say, a product a student had written about in order to check the spelling and then seeing a constant stream of ads for that product for the next 6 months. That's exactly what happens. Unfortunately, this is sad. I didn't think the results from DuckDuckGo were very good, and I found myself using Google frequently when I couldn't find what I was looking for. So after maybe a couple of months, I switched back to Google. I have stuck with Firefox, and that seems to have all but eliminated the tracking. So yeah, that says a lot. I was disappointed to read that because they've got to be able to get you the results. He's saying he wasn't getting the results from DuckDuckGo. So it seems to me they have to improve that. So I'm going to have to try DuckDuckGo pretty soon. So that's all. But I think that's the end of the story, actually. Yeah, that is it.
Big House. Is there really such a thing called DuckDuck? Yes, Big House. It's the privacy-focused one.
Yeah, and the fact that they give you the option of picking and choosing your privacy, that's probably what's making them start to be successful. I'm surprised you haven't heard of it, Big House. Even who the first person that told me about DuckDuckGo was Eleanor, because one of her friends told her about it.
I use like Brian. I actually used to use Firefox Focus, but then I switched to just Edge because of the features.
Okay. There's Renz's comment to Big House specifically. So see, Brian uses both, same as that professor. So there are people that use it, I guess. That's why.
Yeah, I mean.
So Big House is learning
web browser,
along with us. Say it again, Ted.
DuckDuckGo. Firefox Focus is like a privacy-focused web browser, but yeah, so it uses DuckDuckGo.
Yeah. Even my friend in Scotland, he only uses Firefox, and he's older than me. Okay, so that was interesting. All right, I just threw this in because he ordered it, so we're going to be living with this stuff for a while. This is on you, Ted. Okay, this is on The Verge.
Oh, by the way, did you see the comments? Apparently, we have a newlywed in our comments, George.
Oh no, I didn't see it. Who?
Yes, since you were paying attention.
Oh, it's Big House?
Yeah, it was Big House.
Oh, well, congratulations, Big House. I'm sorry I missed it. You know how us old folks are. Well, I hope you're very, very, very happy and blessed for many, many, many years. Oh, Renz, thank you so very, very much. Very kind of you. That'll be going
thank
towards.
you, Renz.
That'll be going towards paying for the S21 that's supposedly coming next week. Really appreciate it, Renz.
What? Thank you, Renz, for helping us offset costs here at, what do we call it again? Friday night Tech Talk.
Did you forget what you were on after what has it been, a year and a half or something? I'm supposed to be the old butt here.
6 months. I started doing this after the pandemic.
Oh, was it after the pandemic? So it hasn't been a year yet?
Yeah, when I had nothing to do.
Okay.
No, I don't think so.
All right. Fading memory of an. Good thing I keep my body in shape because my mind is obviously 76 years old, or very close to it. All right, whenever you're ready.
All right. Renz. George's getting the S1. He pre-ordered the Galaxy S21 Ultra. Yes,
the S21 Ultra supposedly is going to show up next Friday. I hope that's true. So, Big House. Big House is his usual generous self. Thank you very much, Big House. Big House is my most constant supporter. But, Renz, if you want to just keep throwing money at me, you feel free. I'm not above a little begging.
Thanks, Big House.
Okay, go ahead, Ted.
Brian is requesting that you wait and you do the unboxing on the stream if it does come on Friday. Brian has requested.
I've thought about a live let me take this off the screen for a minute. I've thought about it live unboxing a few times. Mm-hmm. I haven't worked up the nerve to do it. For any of you who don't know, I guess most of you don't know, Ted knows, I think. One of my big hang-ups is confidence. Confidence, the only time I'm really, really confident is if I'm singing on a stage, which I did for 50 years, and when I'm driving a vehicle or a motorcycle. But once you get outside of those two things, my confidence level, it wanes. It goes up and down. So I thought about a couple of times about doing a live unboxing, and I chickened out each time. Yeah, Brian saying we'll get the full George reaction to spirit. Yeah, it may make you throw up. Who knows? Oh.
Yeah, just do it like you do it now, and just put the camera downwards instead of at your face.
I have multiple cameras.
It'll be a walk in the park.
Now, is that true that you didn't know about my issue with confidence?
Oh no, I heard it before. I would have never guessed it.
Those are the only two things that I'm really, really, really confident in. Now, when I was younger, I was really confident in dealing with ladies too, but I'm not young anymore. So that's gone too. All right, let me share the screen. And I don't recommend that, by the way.
That's right, folks. You kids just going around with your Tinder lifestyle and the what's they call it now? The Bumble. Humble. Humble yourself on the dating scene before you start using that Bumble. Hmm.
Okay.
So
All right.
Biden orders masks to be worn on public trains, planes, public transportation. Planes, trains, grains, tomatoes,
I was
grains.
thinking planes, trains, and
President
automobiles.
Joe Biden. President Joe Biden issued an executive order Thursday requiring masks to be worn on public transportation. It was the latest abrupt change from his predecessor, Donald Trump, who actively blocked the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, or as we like to call it, the CDC, from issuing a similar order last year. The order mandates that passengers and employees wear face coverings on planes, trains, buses, subways, and other modes of public transportation, ensuring that people can safely travel will be critical for families and to jumpstart the economy, the Biden administration writes in their COVID-19 response plan. The Trump administration killed an earlier effort to require masks on transportation, arguing that the decision should be up to individual states and localities. And since it's usually, impoverished or minorities that's most likely to use transportation, two birds with one stone is what Trump thought. Trump also spent many crucial months of the pandemic implying face masks were unnecessary, effectively politicizing the issues of mask wearing. The CDC had proposed requiring face coverings, but the White House Coronavirus Task Force, headed by former Vice President Mike Pence, refused to discuss it.
Now that is
Public,
misleading because the CDC had initially said face masks were not useful at all, and then they flip-flopped just like Fauci did. So you can't trust anything these people say. But to me, they say wear a mask. Wear a mask. So what's so hard about that?
yeah, but apparently the whole thing about not wearing a mask was to make sure that the hospital officials got to wear them first.
Yeah, that's true. I remember hearing that. Go ahead.
Which should have been like the light bulb in most people's lives. Like, if it really doesn't help you, then why does the hospitals bother with wearing them?
That's true.
Um, yeah, so yeah, the CDC and Dr. Fauci did make a mistake on that front.
Yep.
Which is why, again, people are just like, you can't trust what these people say.
Well, you can't because they're always flip-flopping, and I agree with that.
Let's see. The Trump administration, public health officials have uniformly recommended wearing of masks to curb the spread of the coronavirus, particularly in crowded and poorly ventilated areas. On its website, the CDC strongly recommends wearing masks on transportation at risk of getting and spreading COVID-19, though that now recommendation will be backed up by the full force of the presidential mandate. Mass transit ridership has plummeted in the year since the coronavirus was first detected in the U.S. For example, ridership on New York City's notoriously packed commuter trains dropped 92% in mid-April when the city emerged as an epicenter of the global health crisis. Riders have begun to return to public transportation, but ridership numbers are still lagging behind pre-pandemic levels. Some municipalities took steps to enforce their own mask rules. The MTA, for example, over the summer imposed a $50 fine on riders who refuse to wear a mask, but the New York Police Department rarely hands out tickets. As of November, the department had only fined 15 people for non-compliance. 15. There's little evidence that mass transit poses a particular risk for COVID-19 outbreaks, while the U.S. lags behind other countries with regard to contact tracing. Experts agree that riding buses and trains is much safer if all the passengers and employees are wearing masks. Airlines have also been left to enforce their own mask rules. Most airlines have eliminated any medical exemptions to their rules, and several are cracking down on the types of face coverings allowed. All airlines insist passengers wear a mask as soon as they enter the airport and keep it on throughout travel, except to briefly remove it to eat or drink. The new order was issued on the same day that Biden's nominee for Transport Secretary, former mayor of South Bend, Indiana, Pete Buttigieg, will sit for his Senate confirmation hearing. Buttigieg is expected to play a pivotal role in Biden's push for a bipartisan infrastructure deal. The president has vowed to spend $1.3 trillion to build new schools, roads, bridges, railroads, and pipes, while also expanding broadband access and attacking climate change. During the hearing, Buttigieg said Biden was prepared to enforce this new mask mandate across multiple federal agencies. We were prepared to make sure that we use all relevant authorities to enforce the president's executive order to ensure that across every mode of transportation, workers, passengers, and commuters are protected. This would have been a great time for Razor. Razor I said this would have been a great time if Razor could have made that mask for the market.
My first comment.
Drop the ball on that, Razor. Yeah.
My first comment is I give you a lot of credit for being able to say Buttigieg with a straight face. That would be hard for me to say. Come on. Can you imagine growing up with that name? He must have got tortured in school, man. Now, you know my feeling about the whole COVID thing. I have zero fear of it. I don't think there's anything in the world that could give it to me. But the last thing I would do was get on a subway train with COVID-19 around, because I used to work on Wall Street and I used to take the train and bus out of Port Authority every day. It's your sardines. That's all you are, standing up. So I would not get on a subway train doing COVID-19. That would be me. You know? Oh, and I thought there was one thing with the airlines that I thought was totally unfair. Most major airlines have eliminated any medical exemptions to their rules. Now, there are going to be people, rare I admit, who are going to have probably some kind of serious breathing issue with wearing a mask. I don't think they should eliminate any exemptions for people like that. I just think that's unfair.
The only people who can't wear a mask to breathe are the people who need a mask to breathe, like an oxygen tank sort of thing.
No, I've heard some doctors in some reports say that there are people who the masks are going to hurt more than help. Now, those people are going to be very rare, I'm sure. But I still think it's unfair to eliminate any medical exemption. That just strikes me as being unfair. So those are my little observations.
Gary says 2 things he doesn't do in COVID times: public transportation and buffets. And he and I are in agreement. It's because
I could do public transportation. I just don't want to be if I'm going to be packed in, I'm not going to get on. And let's see,
I got a car because of this pandemic.
Yeah, I don't think I've done a buffet since this whole thing started, which we used to do pretty often. But no, I haven't been to a buffet since the whole COVID thing started.
I think they're dead. I'm surprised if they're still in business.
Oh, there's one here in Chattanooga that is. It's too popular. It's cheap. The food is good. And yeah, I guess they're probably sitting maybe they have the plus class. I don't know. But they're not going on. They're always picked as like number 1 or number 2 in the city. So, anyway, so yeah, I probably won't be going to a buffet either. So I agree. And Big House agrees too. Look at this, Gary. We're all agreeing with
Big House is saying that let's see, Gary. Hold on. No, Big House is saying that his iOS 6s. This is his last year. This is it. It won't be getting the new iOS update.
Oh, okay. Wait a minute. Where are you seeing that? I'm not seeing that comment.
It's around 805.
Oh, way up there. Okay. All right. And you said iOS. You reminded me of something. I haven't seen the video yet, but I did see that Android Stud. Did you see his video that he put up? Now,
Android Stud? No.
You know what Android Stud is famous for? Always knocking Apple. Nothing ever good to say about Apple. Guess who's switching to Apple?
Android Stud.
Android Stud. Yeah, I was shocked. Everybody was shocked. All the comments. So I've got to look at it because he has never done anything but badmouth anything Apple. Anything Apple.
No, I mean, why is he switching? Why is he switching?
I don't know. I have to watch. I'll probably watch the video after we get done because I was working all day. But I saw that while I was working, and I was like, "What?" You know. And all I put in on Twitter, I said, "I'm sure you're just doing us to put us all in shock." So it was surprising to everybody. Somebody was Big House, or somebody just put WTF. It just blew everybody's mind, you know. Now, see, Big House has only been to one restaurant since last May. Yeah, see, Eleanor and I go to a restaurant almost every Saturday, and we're going tomorrow again.
Yeah, no. Yeah, Alyssa, Android Stud is now going to be an Apple Stud.
Yeah. Somebody labeled him Apple Stud. That's true. I forgot who it was. See, that's the response that you got on Twitter. Anyway, it was very shocking for all of us, I think. You know, it was, let's put it this way, it was the biggest shock all of us techies got for 2021 so far. Okay? That's how big it was. All right, next one. I'm going to share the screen. Is this you or me, Ted? I forgot.
That's you.
Okay. Let's see if I can get rid of this. Okay. So this is on Popular Mechanics, which I occasionally look at. Elon Musk wants you to use Signal. Listen to him. This one is very long. I'm not going to read it all. In one of his characteristically short, sweet, and to-the-point tweets, Elon Musk recently directed his followers simply to use Signal, an encrypted messaging platform lauded for taking security protocol a few steps further than similar services. And that's typical. Use Signal, period. Case closed. Musk's underlying message, since WhatsApp, another encrypted messaging service, plans to introduce a new privacy policy that some users think will fork over their data to the app's parent company, Facebook. It won't. An alternative service like Signal seems like the only solution. Now, I don't think they go into the background in this article, but there's a background here. And Musk and what's his name? Facebook CEO. Help me, Ted.
Mark Zuckerberg.
Musk and Zuckerberg have gotten into, I guess, something approaching hatred. And it goes back to, you remember when the SpaceX rocket blew up, was it a year and a half ago, 2 years ago? Well, that was going to be Facebook's first time putting a satellite up, and it blew up. And they haven't put a satellite up since. They're making a deal with somebody overseas to do one. But so I gather Zuckerberg said things to Musk on Twitter, and Musk fired back on Twitter, and this hatred, I believe, has been growing ever since. So since Facebook owns WhatsApp, I am not a bit surprised that Elon is going in this direction. So that's, to me, the background of the whole thing. Signal has already been gaining in popularity since the summer of 2020, as protesters in support of the Black Lives Matter movement used the app to keep their messages away from police officers that could be potentially monitoring their correspondences and location. Didn't know that. According to a report in the New York Times, the app saw 5 times more downloads in the first week of June 2020 as compared to the week prior to the police killing of George Floyd. But with Musk's missive, his followers swarmed to the app in droves. In a January 13th tweet, Signal said the app had gone from 10 million installs on the Google Play Market to 50 million downloads in the span of a single day. And that's what I call influence.
Yeah.
2 days later, the company notified its users that it was experiencing technical difficulties due to the influx of new installs. Yes, I remember that. And they were down about a day trying to get things straightened up because of all the new subscribers, all the new people that installed it. We have been adding new servers and extra capacity at a record pace every single day this week nonstop, but today exceeded even our most optimistic projections, the company said in the January 15th tweet. I saw that tweet. Millions upon millions of new users are sending a message that privacy matters. We appreciate your patience. So what exactly is all the hype about? Here's everything you need to know about Signal, from how it works to who owns it to why you should consider downloading it now. Signal is a messaging app just like WhatsApp or iMessage or Facebook Messenger, but it's one that's geared towards privacy and security rather than cute emoji stickers. In fact, its security measures are so good that even Edward Snowden recommends it. That's right, he did. I remember hearing him say that. And he should know which apps are the best for stopping unwanted snooping. Yeah, he better. Isn't Telegram just as good, though, as far as security?
Yeah, pretty much.
That's what I thought. Okay. Signal is free to use and available on both Android and iOS operating systems alongside the extra security protocols. It includes all of the basic messaging tools you're going to need, including read receipts, emoji support, group chats, and voice and video calls. As on WhatsApp, Signal uses your mobile number to identify you to your contacts, so there are no new usernames or passwords to remember, and you can dive straight in. On Android, you can also use Signal to send SMS and MMS messages to contacts who don't have the app installed, but those messages won't have the same security protections. Oh, and I should mention, when he said you wouldn't be forking over all your WhatsApp data, the only reason that Facebook is doing this is because they want to be able to sell more targeted ads. So, of course, yes, you'll not be risking your privacy, but you'd probably be getting a lot more ads. So, why use Signal? First and foremost, you should use Signal because it protects your chats. Anything that you send or receive is encrypted, which makes it very hard for anyone who intercepts the data to work out what's being said unless they are the specified recipient. It's also thanks to a concept known as end-to-end encryption. I love end-to-end encryption. Most companies use encryption, which basically scrambles the contents of a message or some other snippet of data, rendering completely useless without the decryption key, which can unshuffle the jargon and restore the original. I was using encryption keys on my job like 15 years ago. So I was doing it all the time, even back then. Under this framework, a company usually has the cryptographic encryption key, which means the data isn't truly safe if a government or hacker gets their hands on it. Wait a minute. Under this framework, a company usually has a cryptographic encryption key. What this should say, which means the data is truly safe if a government or hacker gets their hands on it, because they can't read it. I don't care who they are. End-to-end encryption, though, means only the end computer, the one receiving the data, has the encryption key stored, right? Because whenever I had the program, when I had to send the encryption key to the people I was sending it to before I did anything else. In theory, that person's computer could still be hacked and the encryption key could be forfeited, but it really reduces those odds. Signal's end-to-end encryption is powered by the company's open source Signal protocol. That means the company can't read your messages or listen to your calls, and no one else can either. And since Signal doesn't store any user data, governments and other agencies can't request it, and it can't leak out. And I disagree with the last sentence in the last paragraph. In theory, that person's computer could still be hacked and the encryption key. I don't disagree. So what they're saying is, if you hack the computer and find that the encryption key that was sent to them is there, then you can decrypt it. So that is true. And that's why when I was programming, I always had to send the encryption key before I even did the program. so that nobody else had that key but the person I was sending the stuff to. On top of that, all the code is open source, so anyone can look at how the app is written. Well, that doesn't mean hackers can break Signal's encryption, which is virtually uncrackable. That's true. It does mean security experts and users can check that Signal is maintaining the high privacy standards it said it is good. Just about every security researcher who has taken a look at Signal has given it a big thumbs up from a data privacy and security standpoint, and its underlying technologies are now used in many other apps too. The FBI and CIA might not like it, but right now Signal is about as good as it gets for going dark on your phone. All right, I'm not going to read all the rest of the stuff about how to use Signal and all that stuff, unless you want to, Ted. You want to?
No, it's all right.
Okay, so I haven't. Have you tried Signal at all yet?
Nope.
Okay, I haven't either.
Yeah.
I'm going to have, so DuckDuckGo and Signal are two things I need to try in the next coming week. So let's see what other people say. Ren says, that's why Twitter is my only go-to social media app. Other than Telegram, seldom use. Okay. Oh, that was you that said that. Well, I'm sure Zuckerberg is jealous now that Musk is a whole lot richer than he is, at least at the moment. You know.
Yeah.
Anyway, I just thought that was a very interesting story. Now, smart home devices. Again, this story kind of relates to security too. Right?
Oh, I got a good one on this story.
Okay. All right, this one's on you.
Let me start this story with the preface. Oh,
okay.
What did that comment say? I didn't see it.
Oh, bad news, Brian.
No. Yeah, I was actually trying to smartify this place. So far, we have in this area we have two smart assistants, a Lenovo Smart Display, the 10-inch, which is only it sold for around $300, and now they discount it down to $80. You can either get that
great.
or the JBL View, which even has like bigger speakers but a smaller display.
Okay.
So like plenty of different smart assistants. I've
got the Google Home Hub in this room. I've got a Google speaker in the bedroom, and I've got a Alexa speaker in the kitchen, those are my three big rooms here. So, and Eleanor has 5
I thought it was time. I've been meaning to upgrade the place for some nice LED action, but unfortunately in this apartment it's like none of them actually use conventional bulbs. So I don't think the property manager was able to get access to them.
Oh really?
So one thing I was meaning to change. Yeah, it's crazy. Nothing here in this apartment uses like a regular light bulb.
Okay. See, well, you're not alone as far as the LED colored lights. I've been thinking about it for a couple of years. I haven't done it yet.
But the thermostat was something I wanted to change because girlfriend doesn't know how to work it any way, shape, or form, and neither do I. So I was like, let's just start with the nice Nest thermostat.
Yeah, and another thing I've been meaning to get and never got around to. Now, of course, I live in somebody else's house, so I can't do it now.
I actually bought the Nest thermostat E. I was this close to changing it, but I saw that I needed a bigger trim plate because the old thermostat left quite a big hole in the wall that I needed to cover. So
okay,
I'll save it for another time.
Cool.
Oh, yeah. But yeah, back to the story. American bulky. Oh, but the thermostat, it was crazy. So I found one that was actually supposed to be like $50 at Target.
Really?
Target wasn't answering their phones. Yeah. So I ended up driving like all the way over there, like 30 minutes, and turns out they were sold out from yesterday.
Oh, yeah. When Eleanor and I were together, I didn't get one because Eleanor didn't want one, so we never got one.
It's the best thing. It sounds amazing, just install your smart thermostat, then tell Google like, hey Google, Monday to Friday 73 degrees, and then on the weekends 68 degrees.
Yeah.
Like none of this programming stuff. That
I agree.
Back to the story.
Right.
Americans balking at buying smart home devices. The smart devices, the cornerstone of the home of the future, can't seem to capture the imagination or open wallets of a larger number of Americans. Some 4.6 million broadband households are needed to buy a smart home device, according to a survey released by this week's Parks Associates, a market research and consulting company specializing in consumer technology products in Addison, Texas. The households gave a number of reasons from staying away from smart devices. Let me say these guys' name. Open a new tab.
I used to work in
44%.
I used to work in Addison.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Maybe I should be working at Addison.
I used to work for MBNA. It was a short contract I worked.
44% of households said that devices are too expensive, meaning they're broke. How expensive can they be? Let's see. A Nest thermostat is $130. Google lights, smart LED lights are like, if it's Philip Hue, then yeah, it is expensive. And then, but yeah, the voice assistants, the smart speakers, those are the cheap ones.
All get out, yeah.
The 38% can't see the benefits of the gadgets because they don't have imagination, and 35% are worried about the data and privacy problems with the devices.
That would make sense.
So that's a big part. The mere fact that over 40% don't own a smart home device or don't intend to purchase one is pretty significant. Similar findings about price sensitivity were discovered by market research firm IDC too. The value of a smart home still remains uncertain for many consumers, and devices and services are frequently seen as too expensive. In fact, our 2020 U.S. smart home survey shows that the price costs are overwhelming leading barriers to smart home adoption, with 46% of respondents saying that this is the reason why they don't currently own or use a smart home device and are unlikely to do so in the next 12 months. Not everyone can afford is willing to pay $250 for a thermostat when they have a $25 functioning one in their home. While pricing can be discouraging to consumers, more low-cost devices are beginning to reach the market, noted Blake Kozak. Our latest consumer and DIY video surveillance research found that 6 of the top 10 brands were considered no cost. Like consumer security cameras, light bulbs, smart plugs, and video doorbells all offer affordable options. The greater barriers are complexity, availability, and consumer awareness. Value problem. The value proposition for smart home devices can pose to consumers. While many of these products are innovative and there have been early adopter demand, as well as the hero products that have taken off like thermostats and doorbells for the most part, value perception by consumers isn't where manufacturers think should be. Kodak maintained that brands are getting better at finding use cases for smart home devices. Smart speakers have really led this effort. They can augment security systems by identifying breaking glass, smoke alarms, and other audio emergencies. Nonetheless, consumers best understand products like water leak detectors, while the value of devices like smart plugs and smart light switches are less understood or deemed necessary by consumers. Consumers aren't alone in being puzzled by the worth of smart devices. Even builders don't understand the technology, so they don't want to go there. They go with what they know, and they go with what is cost-effective. Consumers have no problem understanding devices that are to automate and simplify tasks. Issues arise if the solutions aren't simple to install or customize, or if they require a whole system to deliver the simple tasks. Yeah, that's a good point. Privacy issues. Privacy remains a concern for devices that can monitor either visually or audibly by cameras or smart speakers. In terms of reasons why a smart speaker has not been purchased, he considered the lack of need ranked highest while privacy was second. To protect privacy, he noted many security camera brands now incorporate a physical shutter on the camera to prevent unauthorized viewing. In addition, camera brands offer an SD card storage as an alternative to cloud-based storage. Nonetheless, high-profile cases of camera hacking, like with the Ring, have not deterred consumers from purchasing security camera. Likewise, smart speaker adoption has not impacted the following news of individuals reviewing recordings at Apple, Amazon, Google, and others. While privacy may be important to consumers, it isn't of paramount importance. Our research finds that while privacy is ongoing and valid concern, it's really pushed to the back of people's minds in favor of the benefit and conveniences that these devices can provide. I don't know how much they truly provide if they can't tell you how to pronounce the FCC chairwoman's last name.
Good point.
ABI's Collins agreed that the privacy concerns exist, but noted, we have seen over the years that if a service is priced attractively and perceived to be valuable, privacy is not a major concern for a large percentage of consumers. That is not to say that this will stay that way and that consumers may not become more privacy aware or demanding in the future. Let's see. Future snags, ease of use, and interoperability can also be discouraging for consumers to buy smart home devices. Ease of use is the second leading factor that consumers consider being important when purchasing and setting up internet-connected devices and applications in the home. Smart assistants, however, are helping to overcome the barrier dramatically by enhancing the accessibility of use and functionality of smart home devices and simplifying their operation. For consumers who want to mix and match smart home devices, getting devices to talk to each other can be a network of babble. Well, we ask consumers what's important to them when purchasing a smart home device. One factor that always rises to the top of the list is if they wanted to work with other products in their home. For McGregor, who is building a home and wants to make it smart, interoperability is a big issue. I want to make the house smart, but I don't want to have the 100 IP addresses pinging the cloud from it, especially when I'm on a satellite connection with a data cap and limited bandwidth. In addition, he noted that if I have 100 items accessing the web, I have 100 potential security holes in my network. Plus, a lot of these things don't talk to each other. When you have to have 15 different apps to control your house, it's a little ridiculous.
Yeah. I never thought of the people not understanding issue, but now that I think of it, that does make sense because, I'm sure we all know a lot of people that say, well, I don't know how to deal with tech, and they just, don't understand it. But what I found, Eleanor is one of those generally more like the average public where she's resistant because I don't know how to do it and it's tech and blah, blah, blah. But she, just like me, doesn't touch any light switches in the house for a couple of years now because in every room she can turn the lights on and off by her voice.
That's what
she
does. She doesn't use Tapbot?
She turns the lights on in her bedroom, kitchen, living room, hallway, and garage, and downstairs room. She hasn't had to touch a light switch in like 3 years. And I'm the same way here. I never touch these light switches. I just tell them to turn on lights in rooms. So I think it's once people get used to it, then you start depending on doing it that way. And then, of course, you see the value of it. But I think you have to get people used to it, and you have to get them to try it in the first place. And you're absolutely right. Smart speakers are cheap as all get out. So start them there, I think. Oh, and the other thing that Eleanor probably wouldn't want to do without now is the doorbell. Because she's had a smart doorbell for, I don't know, 5 or 6 years now. So I think it's just a matter of.
I'm hearing that their houses are.
Go ahead.
Houses here are being built though with their own smart home system, so that connects there. it doesn't use like, the Google Assistant or the Amazon. It's their own system in the house,
Oh,
and it'll control their thermostat and the doorbell camera. So
wouldn't it make much more sense
that
to
could be a
use
separate
Google or
issue.
Amazon? Because it could, other than you're going to run into the same problem this guy was talking about. You're going to have all these different security holes.
I don't know. If I could get some sort of smart home system without Google or whatever, then yeah, I would probably be interested in that.
I definitely would not do that because you're going to take your phone everywhere. You got Google Assistant. If you're going to, I would think it makes much more sense to go with Google Assistant than without it. Is my guess. At least that's how I see it. Just my opinion.
See, I'm just saying that's why Twitter is his only social media app.
Yeah, he said that before. Yeah. What does Big House mean with Snapple? I have no idea what that means. I know what Snapple is. Do you get it?
Nope.
Okay. It's not just me. Okay. I feel better now. All right. Last story of the night before we get to going rectangles. And this one's on me, and I'm going to share my screen. And I don't think this story would affect many people, but I just thought it was kind of interesting. Google Duo may soon stop working on uncertified Android devices. And this was on 9 to 5 Google, by the way. It seems Google Duo may soon cease to work on uncertified Android devices following the trend set by the Google Messages app, which I did not even know about. In this APK Insight post, we've decompiled the latest version of an application that Google uploaded to the Play Store. When we decompile these files, called APKs in the case of Android apps, we were able to see various lines of code within that hint at possible future features. Say that 5 times fast. Keep in mind that Google may or may not ever ship these features, and that our interpretation of what they are may be imperfect. We'll try to enable those that are closer to being finished, however, to show you how they look in the case that they do ship. With that in mind, read on. Uncertified Android devices. Earlier this week, an update to the Google Messages app included a notice that the app would stop working on uncertified Android devices. More specifically, a certified device is one that's been tested by Google, is permitted to use the Android name, and comes with a suite of Google apps, including Play services. For the average person who simply buys well-known phones from their carrier or retailer, the odds of ever coming across an uncertified device are slim. That said, one notable example is that recent Huawei devices are not certified for Play services. That makes perfect sense. The latest update to Google Duo version 1 through 3, rolling out now via the Play Store, includes a notice similar to the one included with Google Messages. Because you are using an unsupported device, Duo will unregister your account on this device soon. Download your clips and call history to avoid losing them. While the phrasing is a bit different, mentioning an unsupported device instead of uncertified Android devices, a quick look at the Google Duo apps code reveals that it's indeed tied to GMS compliance. In short, if your Android phone is not properly certified to use Google Play services, it may soon lose the ability to place and receive Google Duo calls. Unlike the Google Messages notice that specifies March 31st, Google Duo does not share when precisely it stops working on affected devices. So like I said, I don't think the vast majority of people will ever have that problem, but I just thought it was an interesting story, especially if you have a Huawei device. What are you playing? Or should I say what you playing now, brother? Yeah, at least Big House explained his comment. Okay, now I feel better. I know, Big House, you did that just to confuse the old man, but you confused the young one too, so there. All right, it's glowing rectangles time.
Oh, right.
Well, you
This one's good.
why don't you share it and I'll just show it. That way you can move up and down if you
I'm on
want
my
to.
tablet. I can't.
Oh, okay, then
I'm
I'm
on my
sharing.
tablet. I can't share anything.
Okay, let me pull it back up. Okay, I'm going to share it now. And you can explain to anybody who doesn't know about glowing rectangles. All right, go for it.
Of course. So, ladies and gentlemen, are you tired of letting an algorithm decide what tech videos you should watch? If so, go ahead and check out reddit.com/glowing rectangles, where you will find humans just like you suggesting and recommending and upvoting great YouTube stories, tech stories to watch.
That was it?
All right, what's on the top story there, George?
Top story. Now I got to click that top button, right?
Yeah.
Okay. 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 PS5 2021 better than Xbox Series X. That's the top story.
Okay, by
That was
Adam
voted up
Tech.
by 8 votes. And let me see what the
second one's an ad.
Okay, 7 votes for Best of Our Week, episode 6. Who is that by?
TK Bay. It's their new podcast.
Oh, I saw it before and I never got a chance to look at it. Okay. And I didn't even say who
the new podcast he has with some gadget guy.
Okay.
But remember, guys, just go ahead to reddit.com/glowing rectangles and feel free to share any tech stories that you found interesting.
And even I stuck one of mine in there last week, so it's so easy. Even a Neanderthal like me can do it. So that is it for tonight, folks. We've gotten through all the stories. It's almost 10 minutes to 10. We did pretty good. I thought the stories were somewhat interesting, and thank God that Ted is here to make things.
Yeah, they were interesting.
Okay. So
I don't know what's going to happen the next 4 years with FCC. I hope they do some good work.
Yeah, I'm assuming it can only get better, wouldn't you think?
Yeah, it could only get better.
Yeah. So anyway, big thank you to Renz and Big House for their contributions, and I will use them wisely. And for tech, you can count on that. And now, Ted, we're going to be on you next week, yes?
Oh, yeah, that's right. Feels like it's been a while, unless Mike were to come back and
Well, let's stick with you next week, and then let Mike come back the following week if he wants. That way, you won't be allowed.
Okay.
Okay.
I look forward to my show.
Thanks for listening to us. Thank you for discussing with us in the comments. Very much appreciated. And I hope everybody has a very, very blessed weekend. And today we're up to 54, which I think will be tomorrow. So I'll probably get out on my bicycle, which I haven't done in days. So that's good. So everybody have a great weekend. We'll be on Ted's channel next week. Don't forget to watch TED Talks, even though he's behind on videos like I am. So we'll be catching up. Right, Ted?
Yep.
All right. So good night, everybody.
Good night, folks. Thanks for watching.
Here comes our pregnant